Have you ever wondered what it takes to lead a nation out of slavery? To defy the most powerful ruler of your time? And to do it all with faith and divine guidance? Well, let me take you back 3,000 years to a land filled with the cries of an oppressed people and the whispers of divine destiny. This is the story of Moses, a journey of deliverance you'll never forget. Our story begins in ancient Egypt, where Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, had enslaved the Israelites. But the story doesn't start with Moses as a hero. It starts with a baby in grave danger. Pharaoh had ordered all male Hebrew infants to be killed, fearing that the growing Hebrew population would overthrow him. Jochebed, Moses' mother, could not bear to see her son perish. In an act of desperate faith, she placed her infant son in a basket made of reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She carefully set the basket adrift on the Nile River, trusting that God would protect her child. Imagine it, placing your baby in a basket and letting him go in the hope that this act would save his life. What an incredible leap of faith. The basket floated down the Nile until it reached the bathing spot of Pharaoh's own daughter. She found the baby and felt compassion for him, naming him Moses, which means drawn out of the water. She decided to raise him as her own. And there, the stage was set. God's chosen deliverer was now growing up in the palace of Pharaoh himself, a Hebrew who would one day liberate his people. Fast forward a few decades. Moses, now a man, had grown up with all the privileges of Egyptian royalty, yet he could not ignore the suffering of his own people. One day he saw an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Hebrew slave. Overcome with anger, Moses took action. He killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. But his impulsive act didn't go unnoticed, and Pharaoh sought to kill him for it. Moses fled Egypt, leaving behind the palace, the riches, and everything he knew. He journeyed to the land of Midian, where he started a new life. He married Zipporah, the daughter of a priest, and settled into the quiet life of a shepherd. But Moses' story was far from over. One day, while tending his sheep, he witnessed something extraordinary. A bush that was burning but not consumed by the flames. This was no ordinary fire. God himself spoke to Moses from the burning bush. The voice said, "Moses, Moses." And Moses replied, "Here I am." God told Moses that he had seen the misery of his people in Egypt and had heard their cries. He had come to rescue them and had chosen Moses as his instrument of deliverance. Moses was shocked. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" he asked. But God assured him, "I will be with you." God even revealed his name to Moses, "I am who I am." Despite his doubts and insecurities, Moses obeyed. With his brother Aaron as his spokesperson, Moses returned to Egypt to confront Pharaoh. "Let my people go," Moses demanded. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused. This began a dramatic sequence of events known as the 10 Plagues. The Nile River turned to blood. Then came frogs, gnats, and flies. Livestock died, boils afflicted the Egyptians, hailstorms wreaked havoc, and locusts devoured the crops. Darkness covered the land for 3 days. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained stubborn. Finally, God sent the last and most devastating plague, the death of the firstborn. Every Egyptian firstborn, from the son of Pharaoh to the child of a prisoner, was struck down. But the Israelite families, who had marked their doorposts with the blood of a lamb, were spared. This event is celebrated by Jews to this day as Passover. After the 10th plague, Pharaoh finally relented. He summoned Moses and said, "Go, worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your people and leave." The Israelites, laden with the gold and silver of the Egyptians who were eager to see them leave, began their journey to freedom. But the journey was not without challenges. Pharaoh soon regretted his decision and sent his army to pursue the Israelites. As they reached the Red Sea, the people were trapped. Behind them were Pharaoh's chariots. Before them, an impassable body of water. Fear gripped the Israelites, but Moses spoke powerful words of faith. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Moses stretched out his staff over the sea, and God performed a miracle. The waters parted, creating a dry pathway for the Israelites to cross. Imagine walking on the seafloor, walls of water towering on either side. It was nothing short of a divine act. When the Egyptians attempted to follow, the waters closed over them, and Pharaoh's army was drowned. The Israelites were free. They sang songs of praise and worship to God, celebrating their miraculous deliverance. But their journey wasn't over. For 40 years, the Israelites wandered in the wilderness. During this time, God provided for them in miraculous ways. He sent manna, bread from heaven, and quail to eat. He made water flow from a rock, and he gave them his law, the 10 Commandments, written on tablets of stone. These laws would guide the Israelites in their covenant relationship with God. Through trials and tribulations, the Israelites learned to trust in God's provision and sovereignty. Moses, however, would not enter the promised land. Though he led God's people faithfully, he disobeyed God at one point, striking a rock to bring forth water instead of speaking to it as God had commanded. As a result, God told Moses he would see the promised land from a distance, but would not enter it. At the end of his life, Moses climbed Mount Nebo, where God showed him the promised land. There, Moses passed away, and the mantle of leadership was passed to Joshua. Moses' journey had come to an end, but his legacy as a faithful servant of God lives on. So what can we learn from the story of Moses? First, that God can use anyone for his purposes, even those who feel inadequate or unworthy. Moses wasn't perfect. He doubted, he feared, and he made mistakes. But he obeyed, and God worked through him to accomplish something extraordinary. Second, the story of Moses shows us the power of faith and obedience. When Moses trusted God, incredible miracles happened. The Red Sea parted, manna fell from heaven, and a nation was freed from bondage. Lastly, the story of Moses reminds us of God's faithfulness. Even when the Israelites doubted, grumbled, and turned away, God remained committed to his promises. He guided them, protected them, and provided for them every step of the way. Moses' journey was not just a journey of deliverance for the Israelites, it was a testament to God's power, love, and faithfulness. It's a story that continues to inspire and teach us today. If you've been inspired by the story of Moses, share this video and let others know about God's incredible plan of redemption. Remember, no matter who you are or where you've been, God can use you for his glory. Keep the faith and trust in his plan.